Welcome to the Think Fitness Life podcast, where we bring the mind, body, and gym together so you can improve your health, increase performance, and live your best life. For more information, visit thinkfitnesslife.com. Here are your hosts, Matt Gluckman and Eric Menchie.
All right, we are live. I'm going to start off and talk about some just straight up like aerobic conditioning workouts, which you're going to use your body. You're going to target your muscle mass. You're going to be burning calories while you're doing the workout, and hopefully you're tapping into your fat storages. That's really what makes these workouts fat loss versus muscle gain, is a level to which you're burning a lot of calories during the workout, but then post-workout, your body has to recover, repair tissue, build muscle, and store glycogen in the muscle, which helps build the muscle also. One of the first go-tos is up to 60 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And you can run, you can row, you can bike, you can elliptical, you can stair mill, but just think about it as you want to try to nasal breathe the whole time that you're going, because that's going to limit your intensity so you can be in your fat burning zone. You know, they talk about 60 to 70% of your max heart rate because it takes some energy for your body to partition fat into fuel versus glycogen or carbohydrates or sugars are just quick source for fuel. They're like kindling, ready to be thrown on the fire. And the fat is like a wet log with bark on it. It takes some processing for your body to convert it into fuel or ATP. So 6 seconds on, 30 seconds rest. You can think if you want to try to nasal breathe the whole time, or you should be able to like whistle while you go. That can ensure that you're at that lower intensity. So you're in that fat burning zone. Go for anywhere from 12 to 18 rounds. Ways that you can kind of modify that one. If you suck at it, really difficult, go 6 seconds on, 6 seconds off. But no, just saying 6 seconds on, 30 seconds off. You can expand that by 60 seconds work, 60 seconds rest. If you sucked at it, you're great at it, expand the work and keep the rest short. Go 90 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Go 2 minutes on, 30 seconds off, or 2 minutes on, a minute off. And again, stick to that 60 to 70% of intensity. You're trying to nasal breathe the whole time. And that'll be a good circuit to help you burn calories. It's like a good tempo circuit and help you stay in that fat burning zone. Another good way to burn some calories and build muscle, battle ropes. I like hitting these for like 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Really, when you expand the work for a battle rope longer than 20, 30 seconds, your form starts to fall to shit. So I like a nice quick burst, 15 to 20 seconds, really max yourself out. Then you can drop the ropes for 20 seconds and go again. I would say 15 to 20 reps of that, 20 rounds of that. And these are, by the way, what I'm talking about is like, these are real workouts. Like you can actually just make that the whole workout. You can go 60 seconds on, 30 seconds off your aerobic circuit for 20 rounds. Your specific goals are. And then same with the battle ropes, except the battle ropes is probably gonna be a lot shorter since it's 20 on, 20 off. So you should be able to do a lot more in that day. And then I actually, this is taken from a program that we wrote a few years ago for our general pop athletes, was 3 rounds of aerobic activity where you go 10 box jump, or what we do. It was 10 high jumps, 10 box jumps, 10 broad jumps, and you rest 30 seconds in between things. And you can mix and match things. You could do like 10 bounds. If you didn't have any equipment, you could do 10 bounds of forward jumps. You could do 6 on each side of some lateral hops, some like ice skaters or hide-ins. And then you can do 10 just vertical jumps. And that'll gas your system to make your rest really strict, just 30 seconds between things and keep moving. That's a really good circuit, good aerobic circuit. And then moving into some body weight circuits, we always like to pair opposing muscle groups. So if we're doing like an upper push, we like to do like a lower pull and vice versa. So if you have no equipment at all, just doing a body weight squat with like an inverted row or pull-ups, that's going to be a phenomenal combo for you, because you're doing, again, a lower push with an upper pull. You're hitting basically your whole system, front and back, upper and lower. And then another good way to kind of pair that is maybe do like some reverse lunges with some push-ups. So you're getting more of the back of the leg and the front of the torso. Other ways to kind of incorporate your body weight into circuits is, I like a simple 20 to 1. So this is a good little workout you can do really wherever. I like using this in my back pocket if I'm, say, traveling to the beach or traveling to a place with no gym, or it's really nice outside and I'm hiking or something. You go 20 to 1, meaning you start at 20 reps and you pick anywhere from 3 to 4, 3 to 5 exercises. It can be squat, it can be rows, it can be push-ups, it can be lunges, it can be sit-ups. And you're going to start with 20 reps and you complete a full round of all exercises at 20 reps. So you go your squat, your sit-ups, your push-ups, and then your second round is 19 reps, 19 push-ups, 19 squats, 19 sit-ups, and then 18, 17, 16, until all the way down to 1. And it's a brutal fucking workout. 20 to 10 is brutal. And then 10 to 1 is a nice like downward slope. And then, now that we have Eric on, but before we get into some of the more fun metabolic conditioning ones and incorporate some weights, do you have some body weight combos that you like that you want to throw out there?
A lot of I think the greater the aerobic climax, the ability to target your type 2 muscle fibers to be more aerobic, have more aerobic enzymes to function better. Like that's the end goal. The 20 down to 1 is great. And then there's another one that's very similar. If you do like 20 you start at 20, go down. And then the other exercise you pair with, you start with 1 and go up. So eventually it crosses you're 10 reps and 10 reps, but you're starting with 10 squats, then 1 push-up, then it flips. But a lot of times, especially for body weight, it's even if you're doing like A skips for 20 yards, walk it back and do that, repeat that again. You can do a lot of aerobic, I call them aerobic shuttles, where you jog for a distance and then coming back, you might lateral shuffle and then you change it to a karaoke or to a walking lunge. You can do this very well on a soccer field or football field if you have the lines. If you're on a track, you can just kind of measure where you're going. So if you want to go 55 meters jog, and then you can, lateral shuffle for another 25 meters, switch directions, change. It's all going to keep the heart rate between 130 and 150 and maybe even 160. So you're really in that aerobic zone. And what we know is over time, your body's going to switch into a more aerobic zone anyway. So even if you are in a little higher intensity, eventually it's going to get to more aerobic processes of those fibers. So that's fine. And that's what I kind of like to do for like body weight is those small aerobic things that get done pretty simple. You don't need a lot of equipment, but you're going second. And I think the best thing to understand is that once you pass that 60 seconds of work, if it's at one time, you're in that aerobic zone. That's what we're really targeting. And we're thinking, we're outside of a sprint is 0 to 10 seconds anaerobic. We're 60 seconds plus. That is aerobic. When we're talking about body weight stuff and you're doing 10 seconds on, 30 rest, the rest is so little that it's just automatically targeting that system. That would be my body weight.
I like
One
Yeah.
aerobic shuttle, anywhere from 60 seconds to 3 minutes. Rest 1 to 2 minutes, and then repeat that 3 or 4 times. But what people do is
Workout's done.
it's a long time,
Yeah.
even to do like that, shovels lateral. The other one I loved, I don't even remember this one, the overhead med ball slams to walking lunge as an aerobic one for, you can set it for 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes. 10 med ball slams, do a med ball, and then you just body weight walking lunge, 10 reps down and back, and then go back to slams. And it's continuous work, but it just keeps you in that aerobic zone. It also is building muscle mass. You're also working type 2 fiber types and type 1 at the same time with lunges. So you're kind of getting this mixed bag of your body's like, I have to build some muscle and I have to get some conditioning in, as opposed to just saying, hey, I'm going to do 30 minutes on a bike, which is fine. But if you're looking for optimizing fat loss, you really want to pull a big muscle groups in and really train those to be like, hey, I can be used for conditioning and for like growth. Metabolic means you burn more calories at rest.
I love it. Some other ones that you can do with body weight, again, we're not getting into having equipment yet, but a lot of times what we're pairing is strength and power. And that's actually how they train a lot of athletes, is going strength into power, talking, kind of piggybacking on Eric there about different ways to recruit more muscle fiber and be more taxing on your system, which is going to create more of a training effect out of your system. So doing something like, say, a sprint or a squat and then going right into a sprint. So you've used those muscle fibers for strength activity, even just your own body weight against the resistance of gravity. And then you go for speed and max power output into a sprint, maxing your system out after using it. And it's going to be a really good way to recruit more muscle fiber, help you maximize burning calories that day, and then help you break down the muscle so that your body has to repair and rebuild the muscle, store glycogen in the muscle for the future workouts. So that's how you can help burn some fat, but also build muscle at the same time. Another way, if that's too easy for you, if you can do, you know, if you're more seasoned athlete and you can get like 20 body weight squats and a 10 or 20-second sprint in, no problem. You're not really feeling gassed at all. Then throw a stability exercise in there, some type of core exercise. If you can't, you have nothing around you again for equipment yet, then throw in like a side plank or a plank right after that. The idea that we need to rest can sometimes stunt us. We don't need to sit down for 3 minutes with a timer and have a glass of water and, have a cold towel on the back of my neck. Like, no, you can be uncomfortable in your rest, but it still be a rest. So if I'm going to just do some squats and then sprint and then just put my hands down and go for a plank for a minute, I'm still going to be taxing my system. I'm still going to be raising my heart rate, but I'm going to allow myself to recover so that I can have more energy spooled up for that next bout of squatting and sprinting.
Yeah. And if you're looking for your aerobic system to keep working, you don't want 3 to 5 minute rest. Like that's going to start training different energy systems. So if you want to keep it going, you can do static holds. And another really good kind of aerobic one is isometrics. You can do wall sits for 30 seconds, front plank for 30 seconds. You can alternate back and forth. You can do wall sit to push-ups for 7 minutes, differentiating the reps and time, but understanding that isometrics will still give you a cardiovascular effect through holding. And that's why a lot of times, and I love it, even if we're talking about equipment, I'll use, a salt bike for 3 minutes. And then the active recovery is actually a side plank, front plank, wall sit, because you're still using that system and you're driving the aerobic system to be the main driver of the focus. And that's what you want when you're talking about how to train like metabolism, fat loss. And then there are some times you are going to sprint harder and rest longer. That's fine. But for the majority of people, it's just keeping it active, keeping you moving through that workout. So you're just constantly kind of keeping that heart rate up. And heart rate up at all means like if someone's looking at heart rate, it's like 130 to 150 is your aerobic kind of work. 150 to, it all depends on age too. 160, 170 could be your anaerobic, and then 170 plus, like you're talking your max work. So if you're gauging that, if you're between, 130 and 160 for, that's a good target range to hit for these aerobic days or these aerobic threshold work.
Yeah. And that's a good way to kind of scaffold it with measuring your heart rate, and kind of along that same lines of like throwing different scaffolding at you guys so you can basically build out your own workouts. Is like what we're trying to do. We talked about just now, like a strength exercise into a power exercise into some sort of stability exercise or isometric exercise. You can get away with basically picking any primary lift or exercise, like a big body movement. It could be a push up, it could be a sit up, it could be a squat, it could be a pull up, it could be squat jumps, it could be lunge jumps. You could throw lateral lunges in there. Again, we're not with equipment yet, but then some sort of explosive exercise after that. It can be explosive push-ups. You can do, like we talked about before, like hide-ins, like jumping from one leg to the other. You can simply just do jumps. You can just do depth jumps. You can jump down from a foot height and just practice landing properly so you don't feel your joints. This is all stuff that's going to incorporate more fast twitch muscle fibers, which is going to be taxing on the system, but require a little less energy than say the strength training that's going to require a little more focus, a little bit more energy, and then go into some type of stability or core exercise or isometric hold, like a push-up hold or row hold even, or a squat hold, wall sit, like we were saying. So that's how you can basically start to kind of get into our mindset and our perspective of how we build out these different workouts for different people. Because at the end of the day, it just depends on, like there's basic movements that we talked about, squat, deadlift, press, But then at the end of the day, it does depend on what your specific goals are to kind of modifying the nuances of these workouts so that you can get exactly what you're looking for out of these workouts and go live your best life. Now, time for the exciting part. Let's move into some weight. Now, typically, people are going to start with having some dumbbells. And there's lots of different ways that we've incorporated dumbbells into workouts. Obviously, we can do things like we talked about before, squats, deadlift, and pressing. But now we can even throw in some dumbbell cleans, some dumbbell push presses, some dumbbell thrusters, which are when you are standing with the weight and you go down for an RDL, put the weight on the ground and jump your legs back and forward. So you're kind of just doing the bottom part of a burpee essentially, but you have weight in your hand every time you stand up. So it's going to start to tire you out. And then you can go into some single arm work. Maybe it's a single arm clean. Maybe it's a single arm snatch. These are all explosive exercises that you can do with a dumbbell that'll be very taxing on your system. Now they have a way to add a little bit more resistance. We'll get into this near the end because we'll eventually talk about barbells. And Eric's a big proponent, loves the barbell circuit, which is 4 to 6 different exercises with 4 to 6 reps. Now, if you have lighter weight, you can probably go to 10 to 15 reps. But what I'm talking about is like being in a bent over row, then going to an RDL, then going to a clean from there, then doing some squats from there, then doing some overhead presses from there, and then doing some reverse lunges from there. You're going to be so taxing on your system. Even when I get people to just warm up with this, with just the bar before we put any other weight on there, they're already gassed. But it's surprising, but you're basically doing cardio with weights. So you're using your muscle, you're targeting your neuromuscular system, your brain's having to process, you're getting a training effect, you're going to get adaptations out of the muscle because you're exhausting that system, but you're doing it aerobically. So you're also going to be maximizing caloric burn and fat loss if your diet is working accordingly with your workouts.
And this is that's one where any sort of complex dumbbell or barbell does not matter. Like you can go heavy, but the focus of conditioning is you're looking at time frames. If you're going heavy and you're doing less reps, if you're 0 to 20 seconds, that's a different energy system than an aerobic or anaerobic system. And I think that's where, a lot of the stuff, there's all these tools we have. But once people start understanding the timing of it, it makes it easy. It's like, well, how do I pick? Do I do 4 reps or do I do 6 reps? Well, what is your end goal? If you want more of a aerobic thing, you do lighter weight, but you do longer durations. And that's one simple way to do it. So if you take a very light barbell, and sometimes they even do this with an empty bar, and it's 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. And you do 50 reps. If you look at the time, usually it's over about 60 seconds of work, then you recover. That's what you're looking for, is your body to be under tension and moving through 60 seconds. Now you start adding weight, you can drop the reps, you can go for more power, but it changes what energy system you want to use. And I think that's the best part about it. So when you're talking dumbbells, it's like dumbbell clean, snatch to squat. I love that one. You're doing like lightweight, but overall you time people. Oh, that was 45 seconds. And that was one arm. And they're like, okay, now I have to do another arm. And they start to realize like, okay, this is what's driving the heart rate and this is what's going up. And I think that's the best part of having like one dumbbell. So our clients will come like, oh, what do I do with one 25-pound dumbbell? I'm like, well, we can do a lot, right? It's same thing. You can do the same thing with isometrics. You can go isometric to explosive work. That's more type 2. Now, obviously, we're not really talking a lot of type 1 fibers because they're the least adaptable fibers. They will change, but they will hit their ceiling very quick. What I think a lot of people miss the boat is when we're talking fat circuits or aerobics, they hear, oh, aerobics is a walk or, a slow bike ride, which yes, it can be, but those fiber types only can change so much. We're here talking more type 2 because they're more metabolically active and they have more adaptability percentage of change. And that's what we want to target for people to allow them to have good lean body mass, but also be metabolically healthy.
And if you're somebody who has a good amount of weight to lose, or your main focus for these workouts is the fat loss side, then you need to think about that weight doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep going. So I think so many people get into the habit of well, I did the 25. That was super light. I could do the 50. Now they do 3 reps of the 50 of a single arm snatch, and they're gassed to the point where they've hit a wall. They need to sit down for 3 to 5 minutes. That doesn't do them any good versus if they just sit at the 25 and kept moving, kept pushing themselves in a way that is sustainable for them to keep working out. So you're going to always want to be the smart lifter rather than the strong lifter. And I also see too many people doing things in a poor fashion. So even when we get to the barbell circuits and we start to add weight, that doesn't mean we can truncate our form. That doesn't mean it can start to look sloppy. Still prioritize the technique of every movement so that you're getting the most out of each workout and in each rep. I think the best thing for people is just doing a round of everything in your body weight first as a gauge, or super lightweight first as a gauge to see what that weight's going to be like. So you're getting about, we'll say you're at like a 70 to 80% intensity the whole time, but you're still moving. Because if we get you to sit down, or we get you to take longer rest periods than say 2 minutes in these metabolic conditioning workouts, then we've failed. We failed at writing the workout correctly. We failed at sticking to the appropriate workout rather than getting our ego involved. And we can potentially get ourselves hurt because this is a high demand type of workout that doesn't necessarily need that much focus into form. But when we have exercises where I'm doing like a sub max squat, I need to have a lot of mental energy. So I'm doing things appropriately. I don't want to be throwing around heavy weights haphazardly and then getting myself hurt the next day and then having to take more time off. Counterintuitive to a goal of trying to lose weight and build muscle. With the dumbbells as well, again, pairing things that we talked about, scaffolding, pairing things like lower body work, upper body work, and then maybe a body weight exercise at that point. Now that you have dumbbells with you, that body weight, anything body weight at this point will be kind of like the stability side of the body weight circuits that we talked about before, where you scaffold in strength, power, stability. Moving right along, we have some fun. We're sick trainers here. We have some fun barbell workouts, and I'm going to highlight one that Eric likes. And it's basically, the whole workout is this. You go 3x8 squats, 3 sets of 8 reps. And each time you're supersetting that with a 400-meter sprint. So you want to be at probably like an 80 to 90% of your max capacity for that squat. So full range that you can do, and sub-maximal load, 8 reps, go right into a 400-meter sprint. That's 1 lap around the track. And now this one, you can rest for 2.5 to 5 minutes before you go through another round. But all you need is 3 rounds of this workout and you will be dead, gone.
Yeah, most time people get to that first one and they hit that second one. You're like, oh, there's only 3. It seems simple, but it is a very gruesome workout. It's fun, it's quick, it sucks, but it's worth it. I mean, you can do it. If you don't have the heavy weight, you can take a heavy goblet squat. You can do it with cleans, you can do it with snatches, but it's more like that 400-meter sprint. If you don't have a track, use a rower. If you don't have a rower, use like an assault bike for like 30 or 40 seconds. Here's something, it's around 40 seconds all out. Like your body's gonna feel it. And it's one of those things that it's a conditioning day and you just got to get it done.
That's for the advanced lifter, definitely, or the athlete. You will absolutely love that workout, and that will absolutely knock you down a peg. Now, when it comes to the barbell circuit, similar to the dumbbells, we've talked about 4 to 8 reps of everything, 5 to 8 exercises, and do 3 to 4 rounds again. If you're taking your own body weight and you go bent over row, RDL, clean, front squat, press, back squat, you're going to be gassed after 3 to 4 rounds of that, of just doing even 4 reps of all of those at your body weight. You're going to be taxed. You're going to tax your system. Another one that I really like that we used to do all the time for deadlift, but you can do it for anything really, is you take your body weight on the bar and you do 10 by 10 with a 10-second rest. So you go 10 reps, 10 seconds rest, and then go again. And you will be, again, taxed. You'll overload your system. You will max yourself out. That is the entire workout. You can also do things like use that as like a workout burner. So if you wanted to do like 50% of your body weight and just burn out 10 by 10 with 10 seconds rest. You're basically doing 100 reps of something in a short period of time, and you're going to attack your nervous system, you're going to tax the muscle, and you're going to burn calories for sure. We're approaching that 30-minute mark, and I'm kind of running out of circuits here. Do you, any others come to mind that you like good go-tos?
This one is kind of you can use one exercise. You can use hand cleans, you can use squats, you can use deadlifts, you can do the bench, but you're not going to get as great effects. So you take an intensity, and it could be, the programs I've done this with, they call it the pressure cooker. You set a clock for 10 minutes, you put, 80% of your squat max on, and in 10 minutes you go, okay, you have sets of 2 or 3, it could be 4 reps, or it's also called escalating density, right? And then you go 3 reps, you rack it, and the clock's running, but you got to get as many rounds in that 10 minutes as possible. And that's going to kind of drive you to compete against the clock. So you do 3 squats, you rack it, you look at the clock, okay, I got to get as many rounds in. So you're really resting 20, 30 seconds. You're going under load again, and that drives the heart rate up. And you can do that for 10 minutes. Another one, if you do have 2 exercises to do, is I love escalating density. So you pick a deadlift or a bench press, and it could be any paired. You set the timer, you set the amount of reps that you're going to do with those exercises. So if it's 5 reps, you pick that, and you pick a weight that's challenging. 5 rep deadlift right into the bench, 5 reps, and there's no break. You just try to get as many rounds in of those 2 as possible. Now, if you do it at lighter weight, you up the reps. You're going to get a heart rate. If you do at lighter weights, you're also going to drive hypertrophy. You're going to drive volume. If you do it at heavier weights, you're going to drive strength and hypertrophy because of the volume, and you're getting that conditioning effect. And this is like a trifecta of you're pushing your system for conditioning, but you're also getting that strength endurance. Can you take load, keep moving it without recovery? And I think that's one, especially the, Pat Davidson's 30-30 seconds on of a deadlift for 15 reps, rest 30 seconds, and you're going 10 exercises, whatever it is, that is what's going to kind of ride that conditioning. And there's also days where I pick 5 exercises and I'll go back to back to back to back to back, 5 straight, the heart rate's up. Then you can rest 2 or 3 minutes, hit that circuit 2 to 3 times. So you're not really allowing the body to recover fully, but you're driving that conditioning. And it's more of a conditioning workout with weight training. So people have to understand the intensities are not going to reach probably over 75% of your max at any of these lifts, or you're going to impede the next one. But those are really the fun ones that you can do in a gym if you have limited time, or you have a timer and say, hey, I got to set this timer and I need to go. And that's what really pushes people to be better than week over week. If you got 8 rounds the first week, then the second week you get 10 rounds. That right there shows you that you just improved your conditioning, your output, your strength endurance, that the first week you got 8 rounds of squats in, and the second week you got 10 rounds in the same amount of time. That's improvement in performance. And that's an easy way to measure that and see your conditioning go up, compared to when people are oh, I'm on a bike and I did 30 minutes and I've been doing this constantly. You can't see that improvement unless you see the mileage increase because you're going fast. But a lot of people don't pay attention to that. And that's where you want to drive higher heart rates. Aerobic system has to kick in because you're maxing out the other systems, and it's a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to wrap up. Just when you were talking, though, it made me think of 2 other pairings that I really like. And it's we talked about strength going into power. I like the deadlift going right into kettlebell swings. I like the squat going right into dumbbell snatches. I think those are really 2 great ways to pair strength into power, to be really taxing on your system, help that adaptation, help get that strength, help get that muscle development, but at the same time, burning a lot of calories, maximizing your body's ability to burn burn calories. And hopefully that means your body's burning fat for fuel. And that wraps up, fat loss and muscle building circuits. Again, you can do both at the same time. The processes aren't actually happening at the exact moment. You're not actually burning fat and building muscle at the exact same time. But with the workout,
you can run that same process.
Well, no, but right at the exact same time, like protein synthesis isn't operating at the exact same time that fat's being
Well,
partitioned for fuel.
Of course it is.
Really?
Well,
Okay.
I think, so if you have the mitochondria, that's more the ATP side of things, right? Running that process. And
I guess I was just kind of making a joke at how people always say you can't burn fat and build muscle the same time. I think
they're like, oh, you can't because, well, one process is protein synthesis and catabolism. The other one's like burning. It all depends on, the signals of enzymes. So, during the workout, there's no way you're creating protein synthesis, right?
that's my point. That's my point. Like in the
Right.
actual workout, they're not actually overlapping at the exact same moment in time, but
mean,
you are
if you want
absolutely
to
burning the amount of
like-
calories during the workout and setting your body up to build muscle post workout.
Right.
So,
But
in
what
the
should-
actual,
that's when it flips. It's like now you can have protein synthesis and still be burning fat at a higher, and that's what we're looking for. But
that's
I
what
get
happen at the same time.
in
But
the workout,
and I appreciate that.
I could, because people think like, oh, it's one or the other. Like if my car's on, it can't be off. Well, no, because it's two different systems. Like my heart's pumping, but my lungs are still working. Like they're still working simultaneously. Like that can happen. It's just
Right.
during the workout, depending on the hormone, the levels of enzyme activity, it can change. But at somewhere,
And-
someone can be like, there is protein synthesis working, but like your body's
And
trying to.
because what it comes down to is fat loss is a degradation of the system and muscle building is a growth. So when you're actually burning fats for fuel, that's when you're losing that fat in that, maybe in that workout. And then post workout, sure, you went to eat, but hopefully that's helping you actually build the protein back up, stimulate IGF-1 and start that growing phase. So like Eric's saying, it's kind of like a teeter tot where it's when it's happening, it might not happen at the exact same moment, but you can absolutely, if your goal is to lose fat and build muscle, you can do those in the same time with your week at a glance program.
And I think about looking at it post is more important to me now because a lot of people think, oh, what I'm doing in this hour, like that's what it is. But it's once you stop that workout, that's when
what are you doing?
Our recovery aspect of it. Can I build more muscle? And I'm just going to keep burning fat. Like the workout is setting up for the 23 hours that you don't work out. And that's the most important thing. But I think we all got this view of
1,000%.
looking at it like, oh, I'm burning muscle and fat at the same time, which yes, you are. You're burning muscle and fat because you're breaking it down, but you're doing it to signal, I need to build up a better system, right? So it's like the definition, if I were to destroy the wall behind me, I'm taking a sledgehammer to the wall. At that time, I'm breaking the wall down, but also using energy. Then I need to build it up. The building up's the bigger process because I want the wall to look good. I just don't want a hole in the wall. And I think that's where people lack is they make a hole in the wall by doing these great workouts, but then they don't repair the wall and they expect to see results. And I think kind of flipping people's mindset to be like, hey, we're giving you the tools to tear this wall down, but now we are also giving you the tools on our nutrition talks and everything else to post workout. This is where you got to drive it to understand how we're going to do that. And that's why it's a full circle of, nutrition, exercise, and then mindset, because you can't just do one and expect the other. And I've had friends and clients be like, well, I burned 1,000 calories today. And then I go ask, well, how much protein do you have? Oh, I had 30 grams. I'm like, that workout doesn't mean anything because you're not recovering. And I think that's the important thing. But yeah, you're right. You can, your goal is fat.
To some level for people to actually get the results they're looking for, meaning hold them accountable to the behaviors and appropriate choices after the workout. And when you're not in the gym, to some extent, it needs to get to a point where that workout sucks so much that they rub the effort they put into that and they're not thwarting that with eating bullshit after the workout. They're like, screw that. If I have to suffer through these workouts and bust my ass in these things, I'm not rewarding myself with some McDonald's and sugary sodas and bullshit and just eating for pleasure. And when you get to that point, that's when you start to see results because you're willing to change the hours when you're out of the gym versus just focus on the hours that you're in the gym. But that
and looking at it like what we just said about our circuits, right? Compared to a 30-minute low intensity fat burning, that is like our circuits are like blowing holes in the wall, like giant holes to require the system to do more. Aerobic work for 30 minutes is like a small hole. So as you think, what kind of damage and hole do you want to create? How big do you want to build your wall back? And how much effect do you want to have on the system? Yeah, it's okay to do a little wall, but most of the time you need to create a big gap to allow that body to recover more, and you get more out of a workout series conditioning.
And that wraps up fat loss and muscle
If you're
building for
ready to
today.
make steps towards improving your health or increasing your performance, book a free 30-minute call today by visiting thinkfitnesslife.com.